le monde. Merci d'être là. Donc, tout d'abord, j'aimerais remercier tout le monde d'être ici et féliciter les nouveaux ministres pour leur nomination. C'est un grand honneur. C'est un sur 1 million Canadiens qui sont ministres. Donc, peu importe la couleur politique, il faut reconnaître que c'est un accomplissement d'être nommé. Le Parti conservateur va évidemment prendre très sérieux la responsabilité de tenir responsable le gouvernement en posant des questions et en s'opposant aux décisions qui sont mauvaises pour les Canadiens. Mais ça ne signifie pas qu'on s'oppose par réflexe tout ce que le gouvernement fait. Particulièrement en ce qui concerne les affaires étrangères et les négociations avec les États-Unis, on va défendre les travailleurs
they're doing, and when they're right, we will support them. But when they're wrong, we will oppose them. We want our country to succeed. We want the best for Canada. We hope that the government will make the right decisions. We campaigned to bring home the Canadian promise that every person who works hard is entitled to a beautiful home on a safe street and a nice future. Regardless of where you come from, if you work hard, you can achieve your dreams. To do that, change is needed in government policy. That means increasing buying power of workers and seniors by reducing expenses and waste and the deficit. That means doing away with bureaucratic barriers so that our businesses can build more affordable housing and exploit our natural resources. That means putting money back into the pockets of Canadians. It means protecting our streets with stricter laws and stronger borders. Canadians cannot continue with the same liberal policies that prevented our youth from being able to access homeownership, that has driven up the cost of food 37% faster here than in the United States, that has driven up crime across Canada. During his first press conference, Mr. Carney had convincing speeches on some of these issues. And now is the time to show whether he was serious. For the time being, we can't say that things are getting off to a good foot. The first deception comes from his cabinet, which still contains some of the main ministers that worked with Justin Trudeau. Stephen Guilbeault. His radical environmental program put an end to the development of natural resources and will make us more dependent on the United States. Then Sean Fraser, who was the Minister of Immigration, who caused the immigration crisis. Then he was Minister of Housing and caused the housing crisis. And now we expect that he is going to be the minister to solve the crime crisis, also created by the Liberals. Ms. Freeland, who had enormous deficit and tax hikes, and now paying $1 billion a week on interest of our national debt due to this out-of-control spending, and she is still in cabinet. Mr. François-Philippe Champagne, he was the Minister of Industry when Canada had the worst economic growth in the G7. He contributed to the worst economy in a generation, and now he's in charge of finance. The list goes on with Joly, Leblanc, Badou, Annan. Ms. Annan was president of the Treasury Board that caused bureaucratic spending to explode out of control. The same groups of Justin Trudeau. 14 Trudeau ministers are now in Carney's cabinet. That isn't the change that Mr. Carney promised. It's still the same Liberal recipe when the country needs real change. Even the new ministers in the cabinet bring with them bad liberal ideas. For example, Gregor Robertson. He supported the legalization of hard drugs. When he was the mayor of Vancouver, there was an increase of 600% in the number of overdoses in that city. Moreover, he is now responsible for housing, and when he was the mayor of Vancouver, he increased the taxes on house building by 141%. What is the consequence of that? The cost of housing has gone up by 149%, and Vancouver has become the most expensive city for real estate in North America. And now this guy is going to be responsible for housing across Canada? Wow. If that's the renewal that Mr. Carney is bringing to his cabinet, then unfortunately, Canadians will not have real change. The Conservatives will continue to demand solutions for all Canadians. We will propose solutions. For example, we'll propose to solve the housing crisis that the Liberals have caused. And that's not by creating new red tape. It's by eliminating red tape and taxes to encourage more building. We'll propose solutions to crime by putting repeat offenders and real criminals in jail. We'll put an end to the drug crisis by proposing more treatment for those who have an addiction. We will propose firm caps on immigration so that we can reduce population growth and allow housing, health, and the job market to be able to catch up. We need to continue proposing solutions to bring the cost of living down. That means cutting red tape, consultants, corporate BS, and foreign aid. All of this will reduce government inflation. And most importantly, we need to reestablish our economic independence across Canada by repealing anti-pipeline laws and anti-development laws like C-69, by eliminating the carbon tax on our industries, by allowing pipelines to be built, and by removing the cap on energy production. That is what will be necessary to bring back economic growth and to be more independent from the United States. We will defend young people, and we will fight for their future. We'll fight for workers who need better jobs and better wages. We'll fight for all regions of Canada to unite our country. I'm proud to have run a campaign that invited people from all backgrounds and ages, people who have never been Conservatives before, and they want us to fight for them. We have all the resources we need here in Canada and the tools to be the richest country in the world. So we can do that if we have good policy based on common sense. But it won't be easy if we don't make radical, quick change as the Liberals proposed. Mr. Carney needs to change course. And I think that he can be open to listening. I proposed many ideas in the last 3 years, and many of them were stolen. But that doesn't make me bitter. In fact, today I would say to Mr. Carney, steal my ideas. I want you to steal my ideas. I won the debate on the carbon tax, on inflation and housing, and on drugs, crime, and natural resources. And I've already noticed that the Liberals even copied and pasted some of my policies. So we will continue to propose good solutions. And we hope that the government will, in fact, agree to listen to our approach. When they do so, if they do so, then we will support those kinds of policies.
Et par tous les moyens,
every day,
on va se battre
by any
pour
means,
notre peuple, pour
we
notre
will
pays,
fight for our people,
afin de
for our
redonner
country,
aux gens le
in
contrôle
order
de
to
leur
give
vie,
people
avec des
back
salaires
control
plus
over their
élevés,
lives with
une énergie
higher
abondante et abordable,
salaries,
l'accès à la
affordable,
propriété,
abundant
des
housing,
impôts et des taxes plus bas, des rues
accessing
sécuritaires,
homeownership,
une
lower
force armée
taxes,
plus
safer
forte.
streets,
C'est ce que nous
and a
ferons pour
stronger
notre
armed
pays, pour mettre le
forces.
Canada
That's what
d'abord.
our Canada
C'est
needs,
notre
our
but,
country
et
needs,
on
to
va
put
le faire.
Canada first. It's our
So I'd
goal,
like to
and we
begin
will do
today,
that.
in English by congratulating the new ministers for their roles. It's literally a 1 in a million opportunity. I think they have 40 ministers in total, and there's about 41 million people, so it's literally 1 in a million to be a minister, and a big accomplishment to get to that place. The Conservatives will take our role of holding the government accountable seriously. That doesn't mean we reflexively oppose everything the government does. When it comes, for example, to foreign affairs, if the government does a good job at defending our national interests in negotiations with the U.S., then we will support those efforts. When they're right, we'll stand with them. When they're wrong, we will oppose them. We hope the country succeeds. We want the nation to do well. We ran on the promise of bringing home Canada's promise. A very simple deal that Canada used to provide, which is that anyone who works hard gets a great life in an affordable home on a safe street under our proud flag. That means boosting the buying power of our workers and seniors by cutting wasteful spending and bureaucracy to bring down taxes and inflation. It means freeing workers and businesses to build more affordable homes and develop resources. It means unleashing investment by cutting and simplifying taxes. It means protecting our streets with stronger laws and borders. Canadians cannot afford more high-spending, high-taxing, over-regulating, out-of-touch Liberal policies that have priced young people out of homes, inflicted crime waves on our communities, driven 2 million people to the food bank, and made life unbearable for too many hardworking and decent people. In his first press conference, Mr. Carney talked a good game about reversing Liberal policies in these areas, but now we have to find out if he was serious. And so far, it's not a promising start. The first disappointment is, unfortunately, his cabinet. He appointed Trudeau's old team and Trudeau's old advisors. Stephen Guilbeault, whose radical green agenda would shut down all future developments in our resource industry, is still the minister responsible for Quebec. Sean Fraser was the immigration minister who caused the immigration crisis, the housing minister who gave us the housing crisis, and now he's the minister responsible for addressing the Liberal crime crisis. It seems like he is the master at failing upward. Chrystia Freeland, who as finance minister hiked capital gains tax and carbon taxes and massively grew our debt to the point where we now spend $1 billion a week on interest, stays in the cabinet. Then there's Gary Anadesangari, the new Minister of Public Safety, who said the actual crimes, the actual issues around bail are quite sound, and they are embedded in, codified in law right now, as in to say that there's nothing wrong with the system. Well, in fact, there's everything wrong, as we see from the growing crime wave on our streets. Then there's François-Philippe Champagne, Trudeau's Minister of Everything, who never really managed to do anything. And he did it very loudly. But nice guy. I'll give him credit. He's a nice guy. But he was the Minister of Industry during which we had the worst economic growth of any country in the G7. And now he's in charge of the budget. Then there's Joly, LeBlanc, Haidu, Anand. Anand was the president of the Treasury Board, during which time the bureaucracy and the consultant bills blew out of control. In all, 14 Trudeau ministers are now in Carney's cabinet. It's more of the same when Canada needs real change. Even the new additions are problematic. Gregor Robertson was the mayor of Vancouver, who pushed for total legalization of hard drugs, distribution of tax-funded opioids. During his time there was a 600% increase in overdoses. Now he's the housing minister. Well, what's his record on housing? Well, he increased housing taxes in Vancouver by 141%. And the result was that housing costs went up by 149%, more than doubling the cost and giving Vancouver, his city, the most expensive housing prices in all of North America. Now, Mr. Carney puts this gentleman in charge of housing. if this is the new blood that Mr. Carney is bringing into the cabinet, then sadly for Canadians, nothing is going to change. And the role of the Conservative Party will be more important than ever. Conservatives will continue to push real solutions. We'll put forward constructive ideas to reverse the housing crisis, make food affordable, and grow our paychecks. These sorts of things cannot be solved with more bureaucracy and liberal laws. We need common sense results. And that's why Conservatives will continue to push for less spending, less taxes, less inflation, to lock up criminals, remove bureaucracy, speed up home building and resource production. We need to put forward real solutions on crime, for example, to toughen up penalties for repeat violent offenders and end the revolving door of broken bail. We will also demand the government actually impose a real cap on immigration so that we can stop the uncontrolled population growth that has put too much pressure on our housing, job, and healthcare systems. Finally, and most importantly, the only way we get out of this deep economic trouble the Liberals have got us into is by unleashing economic growth. And that means repealing anti-development laws, C-69, the energy cap, the industrial carbon tax, the offshore shipping ban. All of these things need to be reversed so that we can unleash the incredible power of our resources. We need a pro-growth, free enterprise agenda to take us from the worst in the G7 to the best in the G7. We should be the richest country in the world with our resources and our brilliant people. And Conservatives will continue to propose real solutions to make that happen. It's our constitutional duty to hold the government to account, and we will do that. We'll give a voice to all the voiceless, those who've been cast aside, ignored, kicked to the curb, the decent, honorable people whose lives have been turned upside down in the last decade, that feel like they've had, until recently, that they've had no voice. They've asked me to continue to fight for them, and Conservatives are going to be their voice on the floor of the House of Commons. We're proud that we brought together the biggest coalition of Conservatives in history that will all work. We want to make sure that every single person who vested their hopes in us sees us fighting for them every day, even though the final result did not go how we want it. We want to see dramatic changes, not soft reassurances. We also have an offer to make the Liberals. My message to Mr. Carney, steal my ideas. We've got great ideas. And we've been leading the charge on the debate over carbon taxes, inflation, housing prices, crime, drugs, resource development. And I note the Liberals even lifted a few of those ideas and put them in their platform to get reelected. We want to make sure that they were sincere about that. And we're going to continue to put forward solid ideas to make people's lives better every day. Because our purpose is to bring home the promise of Canada, that everyone hard gets a great life, that anyone from anywhere can do anything, where you get a nice, affordable home on a safe street. Every day and in every way, we will fight for our people and our country to put people back in charge of their lives with bigger paychecks, abundant, affordable energy, home ownership, low taxes, safe streets, and a strong military in the country that we know and love, Canada. Thank you.
Do you denounce Alberta separatism?
The Liberal government, what do you think explains the change in tone, and will we experience that change of tone in the House of Commons?
Well, I think it was Lincoln who said, I stand with a man when he stands right. Oh, excuse-moi. Okay, sorry. Le moteur linguistique tourne en rond, m'excuse.
My language is default English. I think it was Lincoln who said that I will stand with a man when he's right and against him when he's wrong. In the circumstances when the government does things right, we will try to work with them. But if they do wrong things, then we will do the opposite. Obviously, I did not agree with Justin Trudeau's agenda. And it's probable that it will continue like that. But we do also want to make gains for the 8 million people who voted for us. And they wanted hope, the hope that one day they might be able to buy a home, have affordable groceries, and live in safe communities. And if we can make gains for our people, we will do that without apology. And that's by working with or against the government, depending on the circumstances.
Can you just repeat your answer again in English about your tone and if we're going to see that in the House as well?
Well, I think it was Lincoln who said, I stand with a man when he stands right, and I stand against him when he stands wrong. So let's see what the government does. The previous government, to be frank, was a disaster. And so we had every reason to oppose basically everything they did. But here we are, a few weeks after the election, where 8 million people vested their hopes in me to deliver for them. And the best way I can do that is put forward good ideas that will make their housing affordable and their food affordable, let their streets be safe, give them a chance at growing paychecks. So when we put forward good ideas and the government accepts them, then we're going to be celebrating. Where the government acts against the interests of the country, then we will fight tooth and nail to stop them. So we will fight for the 8 million people who voted for us, and we will work with anyone that will deliver gains for those people, because we're in it for them and for all Canadians.
Are you willing to publicly denounce Alberta separatism and the Alberta separatist movement ahead of a possible referendum on Alberta independence next year?
Look, I'm against separation. I'm a born and raised Albertan. I love Canada. I think we need to unite this country. Albertans have a lot of legitimate grievances. I mean, let's be blunt. Canada's biggest industry, which happens to largely be situated in Alberta, has been under attack for the last decade. They've lost 2 major pipelines, a $20 billion mine. There's a new ridiculous energy cap that's going to drive jobs and production south to the United States of America. There's an industrial carbon tax that's going to kill the industry. And so, frankly, Albertans have a right to be frustrated. And I think the message to the government in Ottawa, the Liberal government, is you can't tell Alberta to just pay up and shut up. Albertans want to be part of a united Canada, but they deserve to be treated with respect, and they deserve to be honored for the immense contribution that they make to this country. And I will be a unifier who works to bring all Albertans to a place where they feel that they are respected and honored in our wonderful country.
The government right now is 2 seats away from a majority government. The NDP has said that they already have some feelers going out from the Liberals to them to poach some of their members of Parliament. Do you have any indication that the Liberals are trying to get any of your MPs to cross the floor?
I do not.
And what are you doing to stop that? Is your tone right now more conciliatory to maybe make sure that you don't have any Conservative MPs who might want to go be with the government?
No.
What message? Canada-US file. On the Canada-US file, we're seeing Mélanie Joly moved off Foreign Affairs, David McGuinty moved off Public Safety. What impact do you think this will have with the Canada-US relationship? Is it good or bad?
To tell you the truth, I don't know. I don't know. I don't have a line of sight on what they were doing before, those individual ministers, or who has really had lead on the file. But what I would say is that we want to get a deal done to end the tariff insanity, to restore stability, and bring about the greatest friendship, restore the greatest friendship that the world has ever known between 2 different countries.
In French, and Mélanie Joly in particular, would you like to have seen her continue in that relationship with the United States?
Honnêtement, j'ai pas une opinion très forte.
Honestly, I don't have a strong opinion on that.
Je crois que je ne suis pas en mesure de dire si oui ou non.
I'm not in a position to be able to say yes or no whether she would be able to improve the situation.
Porter les efforts pour mettre fin
We
aux
will
tarifs,
support efforts to put an end to the tariffs and to reestablish the best international friendship the world has ever seen between 2 different countries. We hope that there will be an agreement, and we're optimistic. It does seem that there are some agreements starting to come up across the world, and if the Americans are willing to finalize a deal to allow free trade and stability, as long as our sovereignty is respected, then I think that that would be a step forward, and we will support that. Thank you.
All right, we've been listening to Conservative leader Pierre there in Ottawa, speaking and reacting to Prime Minister Carney's cabinet, laying out what the opposition intends to do with their position and strategy in the parliament, criticizing some of the choices the Prime Minister has made, especially Stephen Guilbeault, Sean Fraser, Chrystia Freeland, François-Philippe Champagne, Anita Anand, saying that there are at least 14 Justin Trudeau ministers in Carney's cabinet. And this is not what Mark Carney had promised. He had promised change. He had promised new initiatives, saying that some of the policies and portfolios that they had held earlier performed badly and only burdened Canadians more with policies. Also mentioning once or twice that Carney lifted some of the policies of the Conservatives and he's happy to share more ideas with the Liberal government. Okay, we'll have more reactions on this. For the moment, we'll take a short break. We'll be right back.